Oh, do you want me to say what this is? This is the mayor manager meeting. And it is April 14th and 8:32 a.m., bright and early. And in the room, let's see, who's all here? Othaniel Sierra, Stephanie Carlisle, Dorothy Hargrove, Allison McKitty Brown, and Jane Truscott. Reed. Yep. I always forget the last part. I find Truscott to be so interesting that I forget there's a Reed on there. Sorry, Jane. Did I miss anybody?
I think you're good.
Okay. Take us through this, Shawn.
All right. So for your April 20th meeting, which we are treating like a regular meeting, we do have the a study session, two study session topics. The first is a lodger's tax increase, as we discussed back in February or March. And then we also have one on Flow It Forward. That's a public education campaign that I've told some of you about. Just as we get the master plans back and you reviewed the first glance of that, we really think that there's a need to educate the public, excuse me, about what that looks like and what the needs are, and also what we're doing with stormwater, and just making sure that the public has a real good, full understanding of that, those efforts. So communications team is going to be leading that and going over that with you. We also, moving into the kind of the regular items, we have a purchase order for annual roadway materials. We have approval of a sub-grantee agreement with Arapahoe County for CDBG. We have a second reading for online sales tax for third-party vendors. And then we have a award of contract to Sable Civil and Landscape LLC for construction of Romans Park retaining wall. And then award of a contract to Dream Builders Inc. for the Inglewood Rec Center, water main, fire hydrant assembly, and ADA ramp installation. And then I'll give COVID-19 update.
Great. Can I ask a question about the CDBG funds? Mm-hmm. Remind me what we were going to use these for. This has been a long time coming. Didn't we approve these, receipt of them last year? Or going after them, I mean, applying for them?
Yes, we do that every year. Dorothy, do you remember the purpose, the end product?
I do not, but let me take a quick look at the memo and I'll be right back and explain it.
So the reason why I'm asking is that I do know other cities are using CDBG for some of the COVID stuff.
Yeah, if you are a entitlement city, which is a city that because you're 50,000 people or greater, you get a direct allocation of CDBG funding from the feds. And so we are not an entitlement city, so we go through the county, and we're lucky that we have access to those funds through the county, but it's a little less flexible. I know I asked if we could do the rental assistance program through CDBG, and it would have taken months to get that kind of processed and switched around both at the county level, but it also has to go to the feds to kind of reallocate the funds that you've already gotten. So that's one reason why we decided not to do that. Yeah,
that makes sense. I'm glad you didn't. That makes sense. That's another reminder of being a smaller city. It's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Mayor, should I add this in now in terms of the future study session topic? Should we add that to the study session portion of the meeting?
Yeah, because
we talked about it earlier in the week, and I know one of them came up last night with member Russell. But just providing or just allowing city council members a few days to talk about what it is that we, or at least putting it as a topic, it allows them to either say yay or nay to whether or not we need to move it up into future sessions.
Yeah, I think there's enough time on this one. I would love to do that. I think that's smart, Mayor Pro Tem. And I was bringing it up last night in my mayor manager's choice, but we were too late. So I thought this is not good time.
Right. And I think a few of them, like the homeless study, We're not pushing it up because we just don't have the information yet, but that's going to be coming maybe in May or June, or I think you know the timeframe better than I do, but
We should give an update of where we are on that.
yeah.
On the CBDG grant, the memo says that it's $115,000 for energy efficient Englewood. They hope to give 12 grants for homeowner assistance for energy efficiency.
Okay. Is that our E3 program?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Of course, I should remember that. All right.
All right.
So, Shawn, do you think we can do that? How long do you think the lodgers tax increase memo thing will go for each one of these?
Allison, is there anything that they're having to discuss from a legal standpoint, or is this
The
just?
whole thing at this point is
Right.
legal, Shawn,
Right.
because it requires a Tabor vote. And so they're needing me to put together a memo about what the process would be and a potential draft ordinance. And I worked on that some yesterday and a little bit at the end of last week, and I promised them I would have something. So as soon as I get done with this meeting, I'm really hoping to block off another 4 or 5 hours to work on that.
So how long do you think is this the first of several conversations we'll have, or do you think it's quick enough for us to decide which way to go on this?
I think there's going to have to be at least a second conversation because all I can bring forward is a draft idea, but the language and exactly what the concept that city council might have about what a sales tax increase would look like for lodging, we haven't actually had that discussion yet. If we want just to move everything from its current, I don't know, whatever it is, percent to another fixed percent, or do we want to do it incrementally, or what is there going to be some flexibility? There just hasn't been any kind of discussion about that. And I think council may want to weigh in on that.
Yeah, okay, great. I bet that's a good half-hour conversation, maybe more, maybe not.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I would say 30 minutes, because at the end of 30 minutes, there should be enough direction for us to develop some kind of final item.
Okay. And then the Flow It Forward public education campaign is really much more of an informational, what will that take? Although last night I thought the neighborhood thing would only be 15 minutes and it was a half hour.
Yeah. 15, 20 minutes. Yeah,
Okay.
20 sounds good.
And then, so then we could do topics then, study topics then, right? For another.
We could, yeah.
Yeah, why don't we do that, add that in as the third thing then, before we go to the motion, to the regular agenda sort of stuff. Does that make sense, Nathaniel?
It does.
By the way, I tried to turn my my video on and it says it's blocked.
Yeah,
that?
excuses, Mayor.
You didn't hear it when I said I put on a dress today, not that you would see the dress. I'm sitting down.
It's not
I'm
going to
so
get
tired.
that warm today.
I feel like I'm just the same every day, so I try to change it up every day and make it feel like I went to work. Okay. Does that make sense for next week then? I mean, the 20th?
That
Yeah,
looks
that
good to me.
Yeah, looks good.
My gosh, next week is the 20th already. All right.
All right, moving on to April 27th, we have a March 2020 financial review, the Downtown Matters DDA update, a preliminary review of the 2021-2025 major capital improvement, major capital requests information, and then a COVID-19 update. Any questions or changes to that? All right, moving on to May 4th, we have a pre-development agreement discussion with SKB, which is our developer for City Center. And then for the regular part of that meeting, we have a first reading for Xcel Energy easement for biogas project. COVID-19 update, and award of contract to Vance Brothers Inc. for construction of the 2020 slurry seal. So road construction work. I did want to mention one thing about Excel Energy. You may remember that months ago, Excel came to us and we had them on the agenda to talk about a utility line change where they were going to change out the poles for a major transmission line that goes through Inglewood. And they are getting ready to bring that back. I don't have a date yet, but they said that they're finally getting that ready to bring back to you. So just FYI on that. Okay, on May 11th, we have a city council budget workshop and a joint session with Planning and Zoning Commission.
So we said that we wouldn't do the joint session until we could be together. So let's just play that one by ear.
Okay.
I mean, I think they should. Well, the BAC should come to the budget workshop, but can we open that up for them? Well, they can just watch, I guess, online, can't they? So usually
we could bring them in as panelists for the the Zoom call. Oh wait, well, it's possible we won't be Zoom by May 11th, but yeah, either way.
Usually they come and watch. I mean, if they want. So but I realize they can watch. It's not a problem.
Okay. All right, and we don't. Go ahead.
So we said last night that we'd put police cameras on. That I would think that I mean, it looked like everybody's willing to do that. So maybe just ask the chief when he would want to present. When would he have enough info on that?
Yeah, we actually have had some discussions about that internally since Councilmember Russell asked me about it. And so John pulled up the former memo, I think from 2018. We've also gotten confirmation, interestingly, because Councilmember Russell asked this question, was whether or not we could use bond premium to purchase those. And the answer is yes. And so, as you know, we do have some money left over in bond premium for that. So we can present that, as soon as May 4th if you want to, but
Shawn,
the 11th, 18th, whatever.
Shawn,
Mm-hmm.
the big issue with body cams is storage of the video, and it would be open to open records when it's not open to open records, and how we protect people's privacy when a police officer wears a body cam into someone's home during a major event. It's those legal issues, I think, that that need to be built into this. So you could tentatively plan for the 4th. I've already asked Alex to work with the chief because that's at least half the conversation.
Yeah,
well, I know
that's
on
what
the storage, it definitely takes a lot of storage. And so the cost, that estimates built in that server space, as well as a records clerk that would have to be, going through those, but probably that would, as Allison indicates, that would also very much involve legal as well.
Yeah. So I remember having the conversation, and it was really just a couple of years ago. It was when we were doing building stuff, and I think council at that time decided we didn't want to go forward on it, or it was kind of just left, I think. And so it's good to revisit again. We have a new council, maybe. But I want to hear what police think about it and what legal says about it.
Right.
I would recommend we put it on the study session for May 18th. I think it's a longer conversation than we'll have time for on the 4th.
That's smart.
Works for me.
Okie doke.
All right, moving on to the, actually, I wasn't finished with the regular session on May 18th, was I? So contract approval for water treatment plant risk and resiliency study, and the mutual aid agreement for Arapahoe County Public Safety answering points.
Looks good.
And then May 26th study session, we have the April 2020 financial review, city council budget workshop, and so just those two items on May 26th. On June 1st, we have a community meeting is what's planned, and that will be to celebrate the 100th birthday for the Inglewood Library. A policy discussion after that, a policy discussion on emergency aid to other agencies, and review of the demolition permit that we've been talking about. No, that's different. Maria DeAndre. I'm not sure what that demolition permit item is for June, but I'll
Is it
find out.
based off of the historical preservation, that
Well,
discussion?
it wouldn't be if it's Maria DeAndre, because I don't think she's involved with that, but I could be wrong.
I think that's exactly what it is talking about, what the permitting process is, what it looks like, what some of the parameters should be.
It may be
So,
mislabeled. That's definitely in the responsibility of the built permits and inspections department.
And that may have been my fault. I'll go ahead and put Karen Montanez there.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I think that's June 8th. We have the downtown matters and downtown development authority update and board and commission interviews.
Wow, we're trucking through here, aren't we? Let's hope we're together by then. I don't know.
So any questions or comments on that before we get into council requests?
No, so just, well, yes, just those future study session topics, if they could, if it could just be an item for people to look at before next week. Is that right? So how can we make a note of that? Just put study sessions in there, study session topics, future study session topics as an agenda item.
Oh, I think she added that already.
She did. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
There we go.
So just real quick, Shawn, so regarding the future study session items, if we go back down to that list, Jade, will you be able to provide just some insight on the agenda item on just, where we are in terms of status? Because yeah, like I said, the homeless study, we're just waiting for that study to be complete. Trying to think if there's anything else here that may fall under something where it's not ready to come in front of us. You know what I mean?
Yes. I know Christina has done quite a bit of work because of your strategic plan, and she's laid out some action steps for a pesticide, herbicide use policy. So I think she probably could pull that together rather quickly. I'm not sure on traffic code, what the status of that is. Okay. Aging, do you know,
I can
Othaniel?
tell you about traffic code, yeah. We have an almost final draft of that, and Crystal, the prosecutor, is reviewing it. I told them we need a final draft by the end of this month. Then there's a second code, the updates to the police code, basically the criminal code. We're also hoping to have final of that by the end of the month too. So I've made those priority projects.
That's great.
Perhaps it would be helpful to have a council communication that provides a 1 or 2 sentence explanation update of each of those study session topics. So council would have a moment to think about them before, instead of just seeing a list.
That would be really nice. That's kind of what I was thinking of, is if the list, you've got it on the agenda here, but if that could include a memo that has short things like homeless study, we know it's on hold because the research has been banned, or it's been stopped in the meantime. We do know that, and we do know it's going to have some preliminary stuff still by May because they have some data. That kind of stuff would be really helpful on each one. Aging, Dr. Cog, it's simply an idea to have, oh my gosh, what is her name from Dr. Cog, do a presentation on what they know about Englewood in the area.
Area Agency on Aging.
Yeah. Why can't I remember her name?
I can't either.
She'll be at the Dr. Cog meeting tonight that I have at 6:30 to 9:30, Zooming. It's a good group though. Yeah, I think it would be great, Dorothy, to have just a quick sentence or two on each if we know. I mean, especially to know that there's a pesticide, herbicide thing coming. That traffic code thing has been really developed already and ready to come soon? That kind of sounds great.
Sure. We can do that easily enough. So.
Okay, sounds good. And Dorothy, if you can handle that council communication, that would be great.
I certainly will.
That, you know, whoever gives the good idea has to do the work. No, but that is a really good idea. Okay, so if it's okay, we can move on to the request from last night.
Yep.
So I have the body cams on the agenda, so I think we are covering that. And then we're also, it wasn't necessarily a formal request, but I am planning on sending council some stats on how many viewers we're getting on both the live feed as well as when it goes up on YouTube, how many people are looking at the council meetings. I think that was Councilmember Cuesta. And then who reviews emails to webmaster, council 1 list, council 2 list, and emails to and from city council members, and what is the policy on reviewing emails. So did anybody have any other items besides those?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Mayor.
I would like to look at the finances for any next things, if you have any regarding COVID response to businesses or any further financial things that you think we might need to be doing. I don't know. I guess I didn't really ask I guess it's a council request. It's not agenda.
Yeah. You know, to me, when I was thinking through that as you talked, I was thinking it would be the data point would be how many calls are we still getting for those grants? Because, you know, I kept telling you, we're about to run out of money. We're about to run out of money. And then it lasted another week and a half or so because it slowed down so much, the number of people that were calling. So I think the data point would be how many calls are we still getting for that to determine if there's still a need.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that'd be great.
So I'll have Nancy and Darren track that.
And then how quickly are businesses getting some of the relief that they are due from the federal government? And I don't know how to find that out.
You know, that's in that survey that we talked about.
The one you just sent yesterday.
Oh, well, I'm not sure if I sent you a copy of it, but I asked Darren to have ACE make it a top priority to call all businesses. And I think that was per yours and my meeting on Friday. And so I know he has been encouraging them to do that, and he himself has been calling. And then we're also working with, I can't remember which agency, on a 34-question COVID-19 impact survey. So that's underway too.
He sent that out yesterday.
Oh, okay, good.
So sent it to me too. So I just, for some reason, I assumed it went to everybody, but it didn't. So
could you send it out to me, City Manager Lewis? Or
sure.
Yeah. No, have Shawn send it.
Yeah.
I would love to talk to Darren today too, just about his strategy with this and in calling. If I could use a little bit more direction. I'll call.
Okay.
Can I just call him on? Is there a phone?
Yeah, that's
or
fine.
Have him call me. I have a morning set aside to do calling today.
Yeah, it's fine if you call him. Do you? Unless you don't have his number, and then I'll have him call you.
Do I just call his regular office line and it goes to his cell or something?
I believe he's got it forwarded. Yes.
Okay, I'll just do that.
All right. And anything else?
I got nothing else.
I don't think I have anything. Oh, I do. So do you know, Shawn, if that Tri-County Health call is today and Thursday? I still got something that said there was both days, but.
Well, I forwarded everybody. Somehow it dropped off of you guys' calendar and mine on some weeks, that Tri-County Health. But yes, it's occurring every Tuesday and Thursday.
Okay. I have it on Tuesday. I have it today, and I have one on Friday.
Sorry, the second day is Friday. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because Friday is at noon, right?
Yes.
But Tuesday's at 2.
Right.
Correct.
Okay, I'll be there for the one today. I teach normally at 2, but today's an asynchronous meeting, so I will join today. Good.
Mayor, I noticed that you did reach out to all of council members last night about the flow of the council meetings, and so I definitely appreciated you doing that. Just to touch base about public comment, we want to make it as easy for the public as possible. So we just wanted to touch base one more time before we start putting together that language and messaging for people. So we could have people call in ahead of time or submit written, but then also the night of. Is that kind of what you were indicating?
Yeah, but Jeremy said that there was some sort of a function, and I think I asked yesterday in an email that he sent that there's some kind of a function where people can sign up for meetings.
Yes.
So the question I have is whether can they sign up for meet by a certain date so we can go back to our traditional style, or is that what they do the night of?
Well, we can do it either way. So if they want to register ahead of time, they would probably just call us, and we would have their names and, be able to call them out. And if you wanted to allot them extra time or just do everybody at the 3 minutes again. And then we could still have the call-in feature for that night, or where they would register. So there's a lot of ways we can do it. I just wanted to circle back around so we're clear on when we publish the agenda, what that would look like.
Thank you for doing that. Nathaniel and I talked a bit yesterday about it, and we thought we had an option to go to 5 minutes. I think we haven't had that hard conversation about whether that's. Yeah, there are some people who would prefer that we not do that. We haven't had that conversation with this council yet, but if we could go to a pre-registered person gets a little bit of extra time, I think that would make sense if we have the capability. If we don't, then let's just do it all the same. Everybody gets 3 minutes and logs in that night.
Okay, well, we'll explore that with Jeremy, and then we'll just get that put together. I just wanted to make sure we understood what you were all wanting.
Yeah, and if we can't get it this week because we're still figuring that out, I think it's fine, and do it the following regular meeting. Thanks for asking. In my head, I thought I made it clear in the email, and then I forgot all about it because I don't think I asked the right questions of what does this mean. Is that right? What is that, Nathaniel? Do you think?
Yeah, that's the way I understand. That's the way I would prefer to do it as well. If we could just people that sign up in advance or before Wednesday or by the end of the day Wednesday. I think that's what the normal schedule is, right, Stephanie?
It is.
5 minutes, and then anybody, and then unscheduled public comment 3 minutes, up to whatever the time frame is then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for next week, we're not set up quite to do that because we didn't give you enough time. But for the following meeting, we can say we've got it figured out. We think for a 5 minute and a 3 minute.
Well, and we could even update the agenda up until maybe up until 5 p.m. They could still call in advance. Of the day of the meeting too. Typically we have to have it on the agenda before we publish it, which is why we've always had a Wednesday deadline.
Right.
But we could, in this instance, say people, if they want to speak for 5, they have up until 5 p.m. on Monday, the night of the meeting. That way we have their name and we can call them out, and then still have people call in the night of.
I would prefer to keep it as close to what we do for the when we're synchronous or face to face. But I mean I don't know if it matters.
Okay.
Well, do you care? I mean, if we switch it to that, and then when we come back together again, everybody's going to say, "Well, let's just do that on a."
Yeah, no, that's fine. Let's just do it how we typically do it with a Wednesday deadline, and then people will still have the opportunity to call in that night.
Yeah.
We can have them maybe register ahead of time so we've got their names.
Well, I know the intent from it, I mean, from years past has been that if you call ahead of time, it was to give us the topic area so that we could actually have information on hand if there were some things that we knew they might be going to ask and be able to provide information that night. But it's so random right now still that it doesn't really help us to be ready with perhaps some response that's more informed, and that's something, let's put that on the study session as well, I guess. I can ask that of council, what do they want for this? But let's put it on one of the study sessions so we can see what they want for this in the future.
Sounds good.
Great. Okie doke. Is that it? Was there anything else from last night?
I didn't get anything, no.
That's
All right.
all I had.
Dorothy, we're sad to hear of your decision to leave, but I totally understand. And we're going to miss you terribly, but we get a few more weeks.
You do indeed. So
Are we going to have a virtual celebration?
Well, she's not leaving till the end of May.
I know.
Retiring, I
End up
should
doing
say.
this till then, you know.
I thought about bringing it up last night, but I figured I'd wait till this coming Monday.
Well, thank you. We don't need to make a fuss about it. But,
Oh, we'll make a fuss. Don't worry, Dorothy.
Yeah, we're all making a fuss.
that's what I'm worried about.
Mhm.
You're hoping.
Just add that as a topic each meeting up until May 31st.
There's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okie doke. Well, everybody have a good week.
All right, too.
Have a great one.
Good day.
Turning the meeting and it's 9:02.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Did you hear that sound, that crackling sound?